Resort was great. If you ever get a chance, I strongly suggest it.
Maybe Eli Apple will be there because he's been telling everybody else to go to Cabo or Cancun and running his mouth. And then, unfortunately, they lose because obviously I was rooting for the Bengals. I'm sure everybody in here was because not only is Joe Burrow our guy and, I'm a fan of him and, Jamar Chase, I just thought that the way they were playing, they were going to beat them. The way that the hype of Mahomes being hurt with the high ankle sprain. Now, I will say this. We have a good friend of ours who is a doctor and orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah.
And we asked him, hey, is the high ankle sprain a thing? Is that if you had a high ankle sprain, is this capable? Or are they saying high ankle sprain, not really a high ankle sprain because he played so well, he can move around? Some guys say, I was out 5 weeks with a high ankle sprain. He's like, listen, high ankle sprain is a very broad classification.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has one, but how much of a sprain is it?
What's the severity? Is there ligament damage? Usually when you have a high ankle sprain, you have some ligament damage. That's what causes the length of time of you to recover. It seems like he didn't have a lot of ligament damage. I'm not saying he was 100%. He wasn't 100%, but he wasn't. It wasn't as bad as the media made it out to be. Whatever. I don't think that. Or if it was, it's for them to come out and voluntarily just tell us that he didn't get a shot was weird to me.
Yeah, right. I thought so too.
Why are you telling me that?
I thought so too.
Why is there a need for you to come out to just tell me as if this is about to be some Herculean effort that we're about to get? There was no need for that. So either, like you said, for me, it was either it wasn't as bad as you think, or is the majority of people would deal with whatever pain he had in that situation, or I think maybe they was full of shit about that he didn't get a pain shot.
Right.
It's hard for me to believe. One of the two.
That's not necessary to bring up.
This is one of the two. I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna play, you play.
No doubt.
And we get to judge what you put on the field. That just is what it is, right?
No doubt.
And shoot up or if you want.
Right.
This is the perfect example. We find out the day after that Brock Purdy has a torn UCL. If you ever seen, like you said, if you ever seen a baseball pitcher, this UCL goes, they don't pick up a ball anymore. We don't throw it anymore.
No.
Right? So when Brock Purdy was out there, he made one attempt to throw, and it was a 6-yard pass. That means he couldn't throw.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes had a sprained ankle, but he moved around a good bit. So I'm going to judge what I saw, which was a man that could run around a little bit. Didn't look that compromised to me.
Right.
Now, maybe he couldn't do the super extra stuff, but he looked fine enough to move when he was.
He moved out of the pocket enough. He looked fine. He obviously
he took hits too.
Yeah,
there was times he took hits. I'm I don't know if it was that bad.
He even tweaked it a couple times.
We watched Jaden with a high ankle sprain, and that man was hurt, and he didn't finish that game.
Right.
There's
different severities.
Yeah. What are we talking about here?
Different levels of it. Obviously, nobody can argue that Joe Burrow. I guess you can't argue, but nobody can argue that Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow are the top 2 quarterbacks in the league. I say argue. You can't argue. A lot of people like to argue. I think that they've both proven that they are number 1 and number 2. They've played 4 times. All 4 games have been decided by three points. Joe Burrow is 3-1 against Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes bested him this year. Gets to go back to the Super Bowl. I think it's his 3rd time in 4 years in the Super Bowl. Obviously, he has a Super Bowl ring. He has an MVP. So until Joe gets past that, you'd have to say Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, right? Now they're very, very close to each other, and I think that it's going to be it's going to make AFC match. It's the new Tom and Peyton, right? Joe Burrow and Pat Mahomes are going to be there forever. They're going to be there for a long time. AFC matchups are going to be elite. There's a lot. The quarterback situation in the NFL is in a very, very, very good position. Now, if you look at the game, obviously it wasn't Joe and the Bengals' best game. Their offensive line, everybody thought they were going to struggle the week before. They played lights out and they played very well. This past game, they struggled.
Yeah.
They got their shit pushed in, and Joe had got hit a lot. He got sacked a lot. He threw a couple interceptions, and he didn't play his best game. I'm sure he would say the same thing. But at the end of the day, Joe Burrow, when you have Joe Burrow, you always have an opportunity to win the game. And, people are coming out and saying the NFL is rigged. And, they had some – listen, the officiating in the game was not great. right? They missed calls on both sides. More so
on the Bengals.
Like they missed more calls for the Bengals than the Chiefs. The Chiefs got more advantageous calls. I understand that. There's a couple of controversial stuff that Twitter went nuts on, and I understand all of that. At the end of the day, Joe and the Bengals didn't quite do enough to win, right? Now, it's easy to blame refs. I think if some of those calls went differently, it would have changed the game. It's not quite to the extent that would happen in New Orleans when the no call and the pass interference, because you can say, oh, you can't blame one call. Well, that one you can.
Yeah,
because if the game is over, right? Like that gets called, they run the clock out, kick the field goal
from the 3.
Boom. Yeah,
from the 3.
Over. Yeah. It's over, right? But there was some very controversial calls. One of the plays I think that people are hammering right now, and I think the people who are hammering this are people who haven't played high-level, I don't even say high-level, competitive sports. And it's Joseph Ossai, right? This guy had played an unbelievable game, played his ass off. He was everywhere. He had a high motor, never gave up on a play. And there is a play at the end of the game where Patrick Mahomes rolled out right, scrambled right. It was 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6, or whatever it was. And he ran, and he got the first down. And Joseph Ossai is running his ass off trying to catch him, a guy who is faster than him, and trying to make him not get the first down. Well, he got the first down. Patrick Mahomes goes out of bounds, and Joseph Ossai runs and shoves him in the back, and he was probably a step or two in the off the field. It was a late hit. It was the correct call. I understand that people are like, "Well, you don't make a call in that situation to affect the game." No, it was the correct call. I wish that they would have said, "Okay, there wasn't malicious intent. He didn't mean to do that. It just happened. Bad time, bad situation. It happened." That is not why the Bengals lost the game, though, right? And if you want to try to blame him for losing the game, shame on you, because you obviously did not watch the rest of the game. They had the first down. Yeah, granted, they put the 15 yards on the end of that run, put them in position to score, but who's to say the next play they didn't score 15? They didn't get 15 yards. Like, that play right there did not lose them the game. Yeah, it made it a little bit easier for the Chiefs to score, and basically put the game away. But there was other moments within the game that could have changed the outcome of the game. Now, if I was a betting man, which I am going, the minute the Super Bowl is over and they have the odds for next year, I am hammering future odds on the Bengals. After the way this ended, and knowing Joe Burrow and knowing this team and understanding, some of the background, I think next year the Bengals are that's gonna be the best team the Bengals have ever had. I say ever had. This is gonna be the best Bengals team under Joe Burrow that they've had next year. I think that the loss, the way they lost, how they lost, the shit talking back and forth, which is a whole nother conversation that I want to have, because I think some of the shit talking from the Chiefs side, listen, Joe, now Eli Apple probably needs to shut the hell up. Yes. Right? Eli Apple did a little too much, and you're not the guy to talk shit. Joe Burrow wasn't talking shit, right? Joe Burrow didn't verbally come out and say it was Burrowhead or any of those types of things. A couple of the D-backs may have said it, but nobody else really said it. Now, the mayor of Cincinnati said it, probably shouldn't have said it. So the Bengals use all
Definitely shouldn't have said it.
Right, which is fine. The Bengals can use that. The Chiefs can use that as bulletin board material, whatever, motivation.
Travis Kelce called him a
That's what I want to get to, right? Like, it was funny, but like, you're the Chiefs, right? Like, you won a Super Bowl, you've been in the Super Bowl 3 of the last 4 years.
That serious.
You've been there, right? Like, so I understand you felt a little bit disrespected, but like, to go and to take it to that level, it's like, hey, bro, if y'all are the guy, if y'all are them, and you're the guy and you're the team, like, you just proved it on the field. Why do you have to go out there and like?
Because I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I honestly feel like this is what I would do. If I know I'm the guy, if I know what I've done, if I know where we've been in this thing, and like with our team, I'm fine with, hey, bro, I'm gonna go ahead and prove it to you. and then when the game's over, I'm gonna give it right back to you.
Yeah, I understand it.
And I think that's what they got.
The mayor deserved it, right? I don't think that the guys and the players, majority of the Bengals, like they weren't the ones talking shit, right? Like I don't think that you should they threw a jab at Joe Burrow about the cigars. I understand it.
No, but I'll say this: I strongly, I don't think the mayor situation happens and the Burrow head really catches on if it didn't start with the player's mouth. Like,
yeah,
I don't
well,
think
the
it
D-backs,
really,
the
so I think
right.
it really started because
Yeah.
it came from some of the
No, I get
players,
that.
and I think that's kind of the
It gave the other people off the field like, oh, I have the permission
now
to
I
do
can
it
say it.
Yeah. No, I get it. But it is what it is. The Chiefs earned it. They won. They moved on. It sucks that Joe and the boys are done because it made football watching the NFL a lot more fun because you felt like you had a rooting interest in it. Obviously, I'm still going to watch the Super Bowl because it's the Super Bowl and you're going to watch it.
I don't know if you remember this too. Literally, I think right when the playoffs started, we sat here and we picked like, who do you got? Who's gonna win it? Who's gonna go? And I don't know if you remember, I said, and it's not like to say I'm right because at the end of the day, you can't be that right about it. Right. But I did say, I was like, man, they're hot. The Bengals are playing really well. They're unbelievable right now. But I was like, so you're telling me that they're gonna go to Buffalo and beat the Damar Hamlin situation going on in Buffalo, and then after that, they're going to go to Arrowhead and beat Mahomes for a fourth straight time? I go, they got to do all of that to get to the Super Bowl? I go, man, that's tough.
No, it's tough.
To me, I'm just like, I don't know if I can see that happening.
And then all the shit talking started to happen. That didn't help.
Right.
That did not help because Arrowhead was loud.
Yeah.
You could tell they had delayed game penalties. They couldn't get the play called in. They couldn't really get communication. So all that stuff matters. It's unfortunate.
But say when you just see like the mountain someone's got to climb, like that's especially for a team that like you look at it like you're supposed to kind of be there. And I don't even remember like kind of like the thoughts of like these Giants teams that were going from wild card to winning championships and stuff like that. But they had to like that we ain't supposed to be here.
Right.
So there was like they felt like they were playing with house money. You talking about a team who knew they were supposed to be there. Like they didn't have that extra. Fuck it, let's go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of I think just that's a lot to beat.
It's a lot. No, the Bengals have some moves they need to make. Obviously, the offensive line got better as the year. They all got hurt. Now they got to figure out how to make sure they solidify that offensive line. I think they have some cap room, but I think they're trying to budget their cap for Joe Burrow. The
NFL's helping them out too, so they'll be fine.
What do you mean?
Oh, you didn't hear? They added an extra $16+ million to the cap for next year. So that can won't be as large that you got to kick down the road.
Not as large. It's good for the Saints. Saints are 32 out of 32.
It'll be just as empty as you think.
No doubt. So they're going to budget. They're going to give him. Obviously, I think he's going to probably be the highest paid quarterback at the time whenever he signs that deal. So they're budgeting for him. They have cap space. They have guys. They're obviously going to have to sign Jamar Chase back in a couple years. They have, you have T. Higgins. You have a bunch of pieces. You got to figure it out. Hayden Hurst is a free agent. You have some free agents on the market.
You're gonna have to figure out what you got to do. What you got to do with Joe.
Yep.
Mixon soon.
Yep. You have a lot of guys.
And that running back the next contract, or just letting them walk and get into the next one.
Yeah.
That's a